The Great Depression hit USA in the early 1900s, almost a full failure of all economic systems which made millions of people suffer. The long-lasting monetarist approach adopted by all economists could not explain the current situation. Something more was needed to understand what was going on. Well, John Maynard Keynes stepped up, and quote, "The difficulty lies not so much in developing new ideas as in escaping from old ones, and he introduced the Keynesian approach, which disapproves all the assumptions made before, such as full employment, the laissez-faire economy, the classical approach, and he brought new concepts, such as sticky wages, that revolutionized the economy. Well, the Keynesian approach enabled humanity to understand the depression and many other market phenomena, when human sciences failed to reflect the real world before. And even with the Keynesian approach, we still can't explain many aspects of the market without a huge deal of uncertainty, meaning that nothing is certain in human sciences. This raises the question, will human sciences ever be able to reflect the world accurately, making it actually useful?
Just like people, sciences also mature over time. A way to looking at this question is by observing this process. As economics is a relatively new branch of human sciences, time and new studies will reduce its uncertainty as it did with other sciences. If we reach a point where these uncertainties are so low that they may practically be called non-existent, so low that the economic theory reflects our real world perfectly. However, this low uncertainty state is arguably not permanent and thus might not lead to an accurate demonstration of our world. New theories in this field will always create new uncertainties, making the so-called now uncertainty state to be practically unachievable. This brings us to the age-old question. Can our world be perfectly described through human sciences, or is there always room for change?
Even the mother of all sciences, physics, has been proven wrong many times throughout history. It disproved itself. The atomic theory's change throughout history was very drastic. From the plum pudding model, we are now talking about Higgs boson particles that are elementary particles of subatomic particles, and these subatomic particles were sure to be non-existent in the plum pudding times. What the fuck? If particle physics can change this rapidly and dramatically, is it concrete as we say it is, since we base all other sciences on top of it? If it is not, how is all knowledge produced in natural sciences based upon such volatile and uncertain knowledge and still considered absolutely true? Regardless, can any knowledge produced in natural sciences be absolute?
By this line of thinking, to produce absolutely true knowledge, science must not change after knowledge is produced. In this case, the question is, will science ever reach a point where it cannot prove itself wrong?
First way to look at this is the optimistic approach, that science has a destination. It is finite and it is an absolute truth waiting to be discovered by human mind. For example, string theory is mathematically the endpoint to the discussion on physical dimensions. We are not at the end of string theory, but theoretical physics suggests that we are close. We started with the three dimensions that we observe, and now we're going for all 12. If we achieved the string law, a branch of natural sciences would have come to an end, reaching a conclusion that there are 12 dimensions that exist in the physical universe. This would be absolutely true knowledge, and there could be no other investigations done on the topic. We would have 100% accurate and 100% true knowledge that no one can debate against.
Another way to look at this is a bit more oblivious and terrifying. It is that science itself has no end. There is no final destination or a final answer. Contrasting with the so-called optimistic way of thinking, to prove this way of thinking, there are many examples present throughout history. For example, humanity believed that Newton's laws of motion were the final expression and explication for how objects moved. However, this all changed when a fuzzy white-headed German scientist called Albert Einstein came to play. He proved that the laws of motion changed when approaching light speed. Somewhere in the future, a Mr. Kelso may prove that objects behave on different axioms when exposed to high levels of chemistry. This line of thinking suggests that, though we may believe we have reached the final destination of a certain scientific field of study, there is always a step forward.
Countering both of these supposed ways of looking is another line of logic. Assuming reaching that point where we reach the end point of science will produce absolutely true knowledge. Christopher Langan defines absolutely true as knowledge that cannot be proven wrong regardless of its presence in time. This means it shouldn't change in the future, or the knowledge shouldn't have changed in the past. It should be knowledge such as the sky is blue. It was always blue and it will always be blue. This makes it concrete. But still, it's not absolutely true as it holds the assumption that it will always be. Well, this creates a paradox. Any knowledge produced after this point is 100% accurate, since every aspect of the universe is completely understood. But it was not absolute before that point, as we didn't know everything and changed knowledge to get there, which is another point of presence in its time, making it 100% accurate after that point, but still not absolutely true as it has changed in the past. While embracing this logic and Mr. Langland's definition, absolute knowledge will never be reached, even if we reach the endpoint of all sciences.
The implications of this philosophical dilemma, will science ever reach a point where it can't prove itself wrong, are key to understanding the future, past, present, and the goal of scientific development. If science does have an end, then there is a point where science is perfect and humankind knows everything about the universe and beyond. On the other hand, if science does not have an end, there is unlimited room for development and infinite possibilities to increase human well-being. However, it's impossible for us to learn everything as they are. Both create great meaning and motivation to pursue science as humans. Even if the paradoxical way of looking at it is embraced, still, this does not change the fact that we should pursue scientific knowledge. For practical purposes, we don't need absolute truth. We just need accurate knowledge to proceed as humanity. This is why John Maynard Keynes revolutionized the economic theory, and many economists strive to do so every day. And also, this is why many economists will try to perfect the economic theory in the years to come. This is why the investigation of topics that are considered impossible is hopeful. Someday, we may have time travel devices in our pockets with teleportation beams in our bathtubs. Thank you for listening.